Hello friends, today I went fishing at the river and I want to tell you about it. 10 tips for feeder fishing. I'm sure this will be useful to you, and the very first and practical tip. A little digression. You know, the way I shoot videos for fishing, very often my friends and I go to such wild places where no one has ever been, and we often clear away branches, reeds. We clear all of this away to make space for fishing. The first rule that you should know for any fishing trip. Friends, there is no place for you on the river. It's all common, as they say, the first one to put on the shoes gets the slippers. Even if you prepared this spot, like if you set it up or cleared it out, if you arrive and it's occupied, that's it. Go to another one. So today, a similar story happened to me. I arrived at the spot where I planned to fish, where I had cleaned everything up nicely, worked hard for half a day, and when I got there, the spot was occupied. I didn't say anything at all. I just turned around and went to the next spot. You should do the same, because everything here is public. This is your home. The next tip, which sounds funny in light of the first one, prepare the spot, clean it up, take care of the grass, remove the weeds, because it's nice to fish where it's clean, organized, convenient, and comfortable. You can get through, or you can't. Snags and everything else. So try to do everything to ensure that everyone can fish comfortably. So why is feeder dive fishing indeed great for catching fish from a distance? Fish move away from the shore. They are afraid of people, especially larger fish and different schools of fish. Now it's further from the shore because there's noise and hubbub here, and they're swimming along the riverbed, where it's not so hot, where there is oxygen and everything else. So feeder is always great. I fish with gear from the Flagman company. These are rods. I have a budget one with a channel feeder with a reel from River Feeder 5000, with which I have been fishing for more than 3 years. Guys, the rods are very cheap. I like them, you know. There are rods, you take the butt, thick, such a stick, well, a bit rough. Here everything is delicate and inexpensive, so if you are interested, this rod will really leave you satisfied. The links will be in the description. I'm just getting my gear ready, and then we'll continue on together. You know, I often see comments from you guys, Seryoga, what kind of cool suitcase do you have? Where do you keep all your fishing gear and that little chair you're sitting on? Guys, this is the mini platform from Flagman. It's a platform that I fell in love with a long time ago, and it's probably one of the best things I have for fishing. The platform itself is like a suitcase, inside of which are all my tackle boxes. You can hang tackle cases nearby, and you can attach any accessories to the side of the platform. Be a big box like this for bait or a table. And this wonderful rod holder, which can be adjusted for length and angle, is called the Bot Feeder Arm. You've already seen that I have a syringe. Friends, today I'm going to show you how to make maggots float by making a small puncture. My next tip for you is to always check the bottom using a marker lead. Marker weight is a weight with ears and paws on the bottom like a small bomb sea mine. With it, you can probe the bottom to understand what's there, grass, shells, or anything else. Even if you fished here yesterday, come back and check. Maybe some bush or grass has washed in or something else, so you don't end up feeding an empty spot. Yes, marker checks may take a little time, but it will be valuable time that you won't lose later. When you play the fish, you won't have breaks, snags, and everything else. Make sure to use a marker. I've explained how to do this many times before. After all this, we start with the baiting. There are a lot of different baits. There are yellow baits, dark baits, baits for carp, baits for sharks, baits for chub, whatever you want. But that doesn't mean that if it's for sharks, it will catch a shark, right? Guys, choose your bait according to the season. It's usually accepted that in summer you use light bait, and in autumn and winter, dark bait. We'll just do it that way. And here's another tip for you. Always add some kind of porridge to your bait in the summer. Will be millet, wheat porridge, pearl barley, bulgur. Cook them at home in a pot and add them. It won't take you much time or money either. The next important part about baiting is how to moisten it. Add either a lot of water or just a little. If you want to catch roach or bream, the bait needs to be dusty. It should create a bit of murkiness and shouldn't be heavy. It should be finely dispersed, so the particles need to be small. If you want to catch bream, crucian carp, or other fish, your bait needs to be on the bottom. It should be well moistened, and there must be large particles in it. So either you add them yourself, as I said, either add porridge to it or choose bait that already has those large particles. Guys, believe me, when I tell you all this, I don't want to deceive you. I'm not competing with you. I'm only sharing what I've learned from my own personal experience on my many fishing trips Over all these years at the river and at the reservoir, I'm just an ordinary fisherman like you. And I fish just the same with simple tackle. What's the most delicate part of the feeder? That's right, friends, this is the quiver tip. It's tip, so you definitely don't break it here. With this first part, I always recommend keeping the line snug and secure. Never give slack. How do I do this? When I open the bail, my finger always looks like this when casting. And just before the very cast, when the feeder is already loaded and everything is tight, I make this kind of movement. If everything moves freely and nothing is getting caught, it means I don't have any tangles. 100% at the top, and I can throw it perfectly. I won't break anything. It might sound funny, but over the years it's become second nature. Every time, check like this to make sure nothing is getting caught. So, we've already chosen a spot, we've cleaned it up, we've marked it with a weight, and we've baited the area. What to fish with? What to fish with, damn it, to get a bite? Look, right now maggots are working the best. Wheat, pearl barley, of course maggots if you can buy them, and maybe dung worms in other places. Something can be caught with other baits. But where I fish in my region, these are the best baits. Don't go fishing without maggots. If you have maggots, you'll just be the king of fishing. It's really hard to buy maggots right now, especially in the summer, and they don't last long. So, if you buy them today, and it's hot outside by the end of your fishing trip, they'll be spoiled. But if you're going for an overnight trip, then you won't have any problems with maggots. Main with maggots is transportation. Back when I used to go fishing at the reservoir using maggots, guys, I was just killing it. It was awesome. In winter, spring, summer, and autumn, just one maggot, 3-4 bloodworms, and wow, the bream are just biting like crazy. But I also had this one time while fishing, when I was fishing nearby. Seryoga Ivanovic is catching roach on pearl barley. I am fishing from a great spot. I fed the shellfish, bam bam, I don't have any bites. I take some pearl barley from him, put 2 grains on the feeder, and I start getting bites from the roach. There are times when the fish bite on grains better in this warm weather than on worms, maggots, and other baits. So, you always need to have these kinds of baits, like plant-based baits, with you too. We don't know what the fish are biting on today, and what they'll be biting on tomorrow. The funniest thing is, you might ask, Seryoga, why do you need a syringe? Sometimes I fish in the current, or I fish in the water column. The fish doesn't stay right on the bottom. It either stays on the bottom or somewhere in the middle. Yes, I can make a thin leader. It will fall more slowly. But if I pierce the maggot and pump it with air, our maggot will float right on the surface. I want to tell you right away that this life hack will only work with maggots. It won't work with any other bait. So what are we doing? I'm taking one maggot. Of course, the maggot has to be alive. Good, whole. And we thread this maggot onto the hook. We thread it on carefully, both of them, to put the maggots on. There are also many options. Now I'll show you all. Look, here's the maggot we throw into the water, and of course it sinks. You can see right away that it sinks. The weight of the hook, the maggot is on the bottom. Here it is, both maggots on the hook, an insulin syringe. And we carefully make a puncture in it. There's nothing in the syringe, just air. We make the puncture carefully at the edge, under the skin. The syringe must definitely be an insulin one. It will be different. Nothing will work. Look right away how the larva has inflated. It has become huge, just like this. Just huge, I would say. And this larva will now float. Let's check. We throw it right here into the water. Look, the larva is just floating. See? So, along the entire length of our line, no matter what we have, the feeder will be on the bottom, while the bait will be floating in the water column. We can add a second maggot or give it a bloodworm, and it will all float at the top. Even if we add a second partner to the inflated maggot, they will still float together. He's holding it. Look, one is moving, and the second one is moving too. Look at this bait. What could be better for active fish? That which takes from the water column or the surface, but pay attention. I collected water from the river. Look at how much life is in there. It's all some kind of little creatures, bugs and larvae, guys. I collected water from the river, literally right here. Right under our feet. And then we wonder why the fish aren't biting today. So here's the answer. Look at how much food is there. We need to do something exclusive for it. The eternal question that worries everyone is about the length and diameter of the leader, my friends. There is no need to ever find fault with 50 centimeters or 60 or 55, 52, 53. To be honest, I always make my standard leash for the feeder approximately 50 centimeters by eye. I want to catch fish in the water column. I can see them there up to 1 or 2 meters, 1.5. I've never found fishing uncomfortable, so I usually go for about 50, 60 or 70 centimeters for bream. We make a leash if the roach can just play a little more. But it depends on the bottom you have where you fish and the current. Consider that the diameter of the leash is always a golden rule. The thinner, the better, because even now in the summer, the fish are cautious, big. They are so afraid, they are apprehensive. And we always, if we can use thin leaders, but even if you put a 0.8, 0.16 leash and you have a bite, there is bream pouring roach, it will still be caught. But it's best if you use, say, a 0.15 or 0.12, the thinner. The better? Remember this. Sometimes it happens that you arrive at the fishing spot, mix up a lot of bait, and then you have some left over. What to do with it? How can I keep it at home to use for the next fishing trip? Guys, I've tried everything during my time, even freezing it. I dried it, rolled it into balls, and sifted it out in the sun at home. It will still come and go bad. It's best when you take it home, put it in a bag, and safely place it right away in the fridge. Or it's best to put it in the freezer. If you're going fishing tomorrow or the day after, put it in the fridge in the 0 compartment, where the temperature is 0, it's +1, +2. If you go fishing, then perhaps sometime next weekend, throw it in the freezer, then take it out in the evening, already frozen in ice, and until morning. With us, you will have whatever you need. There are no other methods. It will always rot. It will start to smell bad, and it will just freeze onto the hooks. Guys, I have a lot of hooks. I've already run out of empty packs, you see. There's nothing left, but my favorite number is, of course, 14, 12, 16, something like that. These hooks, which are expertly crafted, made from red wire, also perform exceptionally well. I mean, these hooks, which are made from red wire, are truly impressive. Hooks made from red wire always attract fish well, both in winter and summer. I've noticed that, you see, this is the red wire on the hooks. By the way, what does everyone catch with? I prefer thinner line, smaller hooks, a more sporty setup. Some people like thicker line and bigger hooks, thinking that they'll catch more that way. They say fish have different preferences. In general, friends, no one really knows how to fish correctly, where to fish correctly, and what to use. These are all fishing tales, fantasies, and stories. There are certain rules, methods. Well, the rules are like this, it's caught like this. So that's how it should be. But no one knows what's best. You always have to try, and you always have to aim for what you'll catch. So, head out with a good mood, and that means something good will happen for you. At the very least, you'll have a great time relaxing. Friends, here's another little tip from me. Look, when you cast and fish with one rod, you go whoosh. The rod goes past the clip, you put it on the stand, and the butt section rests on your knee. And just sit there quietly, don't move. Why like that, on your knee? If you get a bite right away, you just go whoosh, your hand goes here. The butt section on your knee, you immediately set the hook and start working. While you place it on the stand, move it back and forth. But that's, of course, if the bite is active. If the bite is weak, yeah, just put it on the stand. I do that quite often myself. And just sit there watching. But often it happens. You just cast, put it on your knee, and you sit there waiting for every little bite. It's also really cool when you're not just resting it on your knee, but you're also holding your hand up like this with your finger here. So you put your finger here, you're ready at any moment, set the hook, lift your rod to start working. And you feel the bite. Even if you turn away, you'll feel the strike. The fish will bite, the tip will quiver. You can even feel it on your leg. And if your finger is here, you immediately feel it. It transmits everything here. We're used to putting the maggot on like this. We're looking for the head, where there are 2 little dots, and we thread it through the very edge. Whoa, like this. And it's twitching. It's twitching. But there are days and situations when the fish just refuses to bite and only bites like this. When the maggot is threaded like a stocking. So we take it by the same head and thread it like a stocking, just like a worm. The hook is hidden, only the barb is sticking out. What difference does it make, you ask? Yes. What does that fish need? But no, it just wants to bite like that, and that's it. Who knows what's going on in its head? And what if we put it on with the stocking? And we'll pump it up too. Yeah, can you believe it? Look at what kind of bait we have now. It's just great. This maggot will now float if you have the opportunity to choose when to go fishing in the evening or in the morning, I would choose early morning. Now let me explain why. It's very simple. Just like with spinning, we have a day, part of which is night. During the day, the fish are active. They eat something here and there. It's hot. They swim or they don't swim. And at night, they sleep. It's exactly when the fish are sleeping at night, the white fish, that they eat less than during the day. And in the morning, it starts munching away. Even if it's feeding well at night, in the morning, it finishes up and moves on, somewhere to hide from the predator or to wait out the heat. So it's always best to fish very early in the morning. I've often had it where I come to fish for bream, which seems to be a night fish. Bream, bite at night, you feed it all evening, from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. You feed this little piggy, damn it, river fish. Nothing's biting, it's 1 a.m., nothing, 2 a.m., nothing, 3 a.m., nothing. In the morning, dawn begins, you have the first bites of bream, and they bite exactly until 7 to 8 o'clock. So the entire amount of fish that I catch it during the morning twilight. Yeah, I fed them, yeah, it was awesome, but damn it, it's during the morning twilight that I get them. It happened. But why? No one knows. The interval for recasting, how often should we recast the feeder, guys? I like to recast often, but again, it depends on what fish we're catching. If we're catching roach, I recast every minute or two, depending on the bite. But generally, if it's a reservoir or a river, a good spot that's been well fed and everything is chosen correctly, there will definitely be a bite. If not, what we do is we take it and make a retrieve. Now I'll tell you how it's done. Our task, when our feeder is on the bottom, is to pull the feeder slightly forward with the line, which is a bit further out. This way we'll pull the feeder, creating an effect of cloudiness here, and our line next, with the nozzle, which is behind the feeder, it will stretch slightly, so the bait will make a movement along the bottom. The fish swimming above sees this feed and eats it. We'll see the movement of the bait, and usually a bite happens right away. Right after 2-3 seconds, you'll have a bend in the tip of the rod. So give it a try. You can also, as you suggested in the comments, do not just a retrieve. Here's the reel. This is how I do the retrieve. The tip of the rod is taut. I slightly reel it in just a little, about half a turn. When the tip of the rod is taut, I make a retrieve. Our task is for the tip of the rod to go like this, and go, then OP, it slightly bends back under tension. You advise me, Sergey, just take it like this and do it. Lift the rod, pull it back, and immediately reel it in. So don't pull the feeder, just slightly lift it off the bottom and drop it back down. This also helps. Let me know in the comments what you used and which method you prefer. A lift or just a pull. Just in case, I'll leave links to all my gear in the description. Maybe you'll find it interesting. The rod has a cork handle, good, not a thick butt. It's well made. Guys, it's delicate by itself and catches any fish really well. But what I personally like about it, it's its sensitivity. I see a bite, a tiny one, even from small roach, small bream, and a crucian carp. I see everything. The bites are just amazing. The drag on this budget reel works just fine. She's powerful, and in 3 years, damn, she's my top one. If I need to grab something, I take it right away without thinking. I have a lot of expensive rods, but I like this one because it's slim and elegant. And I love this one. I hope you liked something from this video, something was new, something you knew. You will like and subscribe because it is your support that, so to speak, stimulates me to release new videos. And if you like this format, a video like the one I just made, conversational with tips and answers to questions, let me know in the comments. In general, when you write something, I try to answer the guys as quickly as possible. But I read all the comments, everything you write, I see it all. Here's everything I need for fishing. Feeder platform, bait. I've got everything with me.